Johnny's got another problem. Jimmy had an overdose, and Susie had another run-in with the one she loves the most. Kid's got another question: when's Daddy coming home? You know it's hard to face this world.
Welcome to Underkill TV, joined with a man who needs no introduction whatsoever, the one and only Pete from Marillion. Pete, pleasure to see you.
Pleasure's all mine. Hello, how are we doing? Yeah, backstage here at the Colston Hall again, after a few years now. But we're on this theatre tour and it's going very well. The tour's sold out, so it's nice to know that everywhere we're going is, playing to packed audiences, packed, with our fans, which is even better.
And you're out promoting a new album now, which is Fear.
Yeah.
What to tell our viewers a little bit about how that differs to any other sort of previous albums and everything like that?
Well, how does it differ? It's just, it's very current. I mean, the album was written over the last, let's see, the album's been out about 2.5 years now. Right, okay. Maybe 3 years. And we've been touring it in various stages and various forms. And while we were writing it, we were just getting disillusioned with what was going on in Britain. And of course, since we wrote it, Brexit has happened. Donald Trump has got into power in America. And the whole album seems to have caught everybody's attention because it's very sort of politically, it's very current. And there's a song, for example, called The Levers. And that's really about touring life. But as we were writing it, there was the Leavers and the Remainers, parties going around Britain. So it's quite frustrating to know that we'd already kind of preempted a lot of what was going on, and the record was in the final stages of being completed. So and then of course, there's all sorts of upheaval around the world, and especially with Russia and America at the moment. That's a bit crazy, but there you are.
Well, you're saying there about being, pioneers on that sort of stuff and knowing about what was going on in the world. I mean, like we talked about just now, you were probably the first band that were the ones to listen to the fans and do the whole sort of crowdfunding thing, isn't that right? All those years ago, it seems now.
Yeah.
And it seems that's the way forward. Every sort of, even big bands are doing pledge campaigns and things like that.
Yes, I mean it's taken on a whole kind of industry of its own. There's lots of various pledge sites. There's various independent sites that will help you get your music published and help you sell your music to your fans. We started it a long time ago, late 90s, early 2000. It was. We were in a situation where we had a small independent record label in America, and they couldn't afford to send us to America to tour. And Mark used to have these web pages, and he was on email. And at the time, email was really through college computers. You used to log on in the evenings. You were allowed to log on in the evenings. You couldn't do it, and it wasn't like it was now. Used to log on with old Commodore computers and things like that, and go through telephone lines. So the fans were asking Mark on this webpage whether we were going to be touring America or not, and he said, well, no, unfortunately we can't really afford to, because we tend to lose $60,000-$70,000 each time we tour America, and the record company can't afford the tour support. So one of the fans in America, whose name was Jeff, and I can't remember his second name now, he started we didn't even know this at the time, he started a fund. He said, well, look, I would spend this much money to see Marillion. I'd spend $100, driving somewhere and buying a ticket to see Marillion. So why don't we start a campaign to see how much money we can raise? If enough people pledge money, enough people put money into this bank account that I'll start, then maybe we can raise some money for the band. And we found out about it after they'd raised $20,000, And we thought, well, we better get involved in this because A, we didn't know who was involved, who was looking after the money, and we didn't want our fans' money just disappearing. So we got involved, and we decided that although we took the campaign over, basically we decided that although we couldn't necessarily play everywhere in America, we couldn't play in everybody's area, we vowed to make a CD and of one of those concerts, and it would be a special. It was called Rochester. It was a gig in Rochester, and it was a special CD that was sent out to all the people who put money into the campaign. So and it was that was the kind of the carrot for people putting money in, and people from England put money in, even though they weren't going to go to the shows, and that taught us two things. It taught us that our fans were amazing and had so much faith in us that they would follow us anywhere, whatever we were doing. And B, the internet was going to become a very important tool for us. So, and it has. And so the first time we used it as an album campaign, we didn't want to sign a record deal, and we asked the fans if they would fund an album, and we gave them various choices of what they could fund, and we gave them a special there was a limited edition that they could get if they gave more than an amount of money, and they would get their name in if they paid before us. There was a cut-off time that they had to pledge, and they would get their name mentioned in the sleeve notes. So we did a 128-page booklet, I think it was, because there was that many names. And yeah, that allowed us. We did a bit of maths, and we decided that if we raised somewhere between £10,000 and £20,000, we could afford to do the album ourselves. And we raised more than that. We raised enough money to bring a producer in, and you know, once we told people that there was a producer on board, and who it was Dave Meagan, who had done Brave and had done Afraid of Sunlight, and everyone was very excited, and you know, it sort of escalated from there really. And we've, you know, the next time we did more glamorous things. We did a booklet with special, you know, packaging and all that kind of thing for a campaign after that. And then after 2 or 3 years, other people started to realise what we were doing and cottoned on to the idea that crowdfunding, as it's now called, was going to be the thing of the future. And yeah, it is. And it, you know, from our point of view, it keeps the money in our control, and we can do because we would spend more money on our you know, we'll spend more money on our business than anybody else would. So not having to go through a third party to actually make the thing and produce the thing, you know, we'll spend way more money on the recording process than anyone else would. So it suits us down to the ground. And we don't have a record company breathing down our necks telling us what we should be doing, who we should be following. Be more like Justin Timberlake, be less like this. Everything's gone folk now, so do that, you know, which is what record companies do. They follow the trend to try and chase what's going to happen next. And of course, it's just unique and free thinkers that really are the people who govern what's going to happen the next. And no one knows. No one really knows. And people in record companies, you know, no one really knows what's going to happen next. It just happens. And that's the beauty of music, really.
That's what I was going to ask now. With, like, obviously Fear being out, it's been, as you said, like almost 2.5 years. Yeah. Is there any plans, or have you started any ideas to do the follow-up to Fear, and anything you can tell us so far? Any exclusive?
No, well, yeah, we have tentatively started. We have no idea what it's going to be. But Bjork once, I read in an article, Bjork saying about writing songs, and she said, when you start writing a song, it's like going to sleep. You never know what position you're going to wake up in. And she said, when you start writing a song, you never quite know how it's going to end. So until we actually finish the whole thing, we have no idea. We just, you know, throw a bunch of ideas at the wall and see what sticks and see what excites us, and that'll govern. We always let the music tend to govern where the songs are going to go. you know, sort of spiritually and you know, whatever mood is being set by the music that is exciting us at the time is where the whole thing's going to go, really.
And is that sort of looking at maybe a 2019 sort of release then, or maybe beyond that?
Sometime around 2019, hopefully. Yeah. We're not very quick, but you know, we tend to be consistent, and we you know, we throw so much. Sorry, I've got an itch on my nose. We throw so much stuff away. You know, we only keep the jewels, and there's a lot of sifting. There's a lot of sand sifting to be done before stuff's ready for a Marillion album. And the five of us have to agree on everything as well. And we have very strong ideas on what's good and what isn't. So you know, but it's all good. It's all good. We're in a great place at the moment. You know, with the popularity of the band seems to be on the up. People are talking about us. We're getting good reviews all around the place. We did a fantastic show at the Royal Albert Hall fairly recently, and the DVD's now out of that, and that sold out in 4 minutes, which kind of shows you the popularity of the band at the moment. That amazed me. I didn't. I was thinking when it was first thought of, the Royal Albert Hall, we were all like, yeah, that's quite a good idea. It's a, you know, it's one of those buildings that is difficult to get into and very difficult to work with. It's very difficult to manage a show there because there's so many stipulations and so many rules and regulations, and you can't do this. And if you want to, you know, if you want to do that, that costs money, and if you want to film, that costs money. If you want to record, that costs money. You know, if you want it in colour, probably costs more money as well. So, you know, it's an expensive process. But once we got our heads around the fact that it was doable, and we brought in an agent called Kilimanjaro to help us find, you know, a sensible date for us to play. We figured a weekend would be somewhere around a Friday or a Saturday would be best, so that it gave people the opportunity to sort of travel down to London. We couldn't have done a Tuesday night, for example, in the middle of winter. I don't think that would have sold particularly well. But and then when it did, you know, when people realised it was going to happen, it sold out ridiculously quickly, and I nearly fell on the floor. Yeah, it was. And then actually to play the place, and it was amazing. It was jaw-droppingly good. Yeah, I mean, it really is. It really is. It's so iconic. And we played a few other places beforehand to sort of get, you know, settle ourselves into what we were going to be doing, because it was a bit of a different show for us. We brought a string quartet and a couple of other musicians along with us. We didn't want to go down the orchestra route that a lot of bands do, because we already orchestrate our music. But we did want to have it to be a special night that we'd remember as being special, as well as the fans. So so we decided to sort of have a few extra musicians on the second half of the show, and it worked really, really well. And so we did a few shows, and one of the shows was at a place called the Zenith in Paris. So we played to 5,500 people, I think it was, which was actually quite a bit bigger than the Royal Albert Hall. So it wasn't too daunting a thing, but I mean, it still was, because it's a very impressive building. Just, you know, just going there and seeing the place, and then walking inside and walking on stage with all the fans out, ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous feeling. It still sends shivers down my spine thinking about it now.
And one thing I was going to ask, being very loyal and interactive with your fans, the best place to check out anything is the website, which is Marillion.
Marillion.com is our website. Marillion.com, there it is.
And the band's pretty active on the Facebook as well, and the social media.
Oh yeah, we're
on Twitter.
We're over most platforms, not all, but most. Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're on all of those. And if you just Google Marillion, it will come up in some shape or form.
Excellent stuff. Well, I know you're quite busy, Pete, with press and everything, so I won't keep you. Just one quick one. Is there any sort of message you'd like to say to the fans for the support over the last 20, 30 years?
Well, 40 years for me, as you can tell. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It means the world to us. You know, our fans are just amazing people. You are amazing people. You've set us free from, you know, the daunting task of trying to be creative in a world of industry and accountants. And so, you know, we're the lucky ones. We have the holy grail, really. We have the audience that we require, and we appreciate all of the help over the years. And so, yeah, thank you. Keep it up, and so will we.
Excellent stuff. It's been an absolute pleasure just listening to some of the stories there. Wish you all the very best for the show tonight. And those that haven't checked Marillion out, give them a like on Facebook, give them a follow on Twitter, check the band out. Hopefully they're playing somewhere near you soon. This is Alistair from Underkill TV signing out with the one only Pete from Marillion. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know it's hard to face this world, oh yeah, when you're feeling all alone. Up in smoke, up in smoke. This whole world's going up in smoke. Can't stay out of trouble, you got nothing else to do. And it's hard to not get paranoid when the TV is watching.